What can you actually grow on an acre and a half? Well, today's video is actually going to show you probably a lot more than you think. We're going to a modern micro homesteading dairy on 1.5 acres in suburban Texas today. This is part of the Raising Sheep on Pasture series, and if you would like the full 1-hour tour, you can click on the link down below and I'll send it to you absolutely free. Whether you join me just for this abbreviated tour or the full 1-hour tour down below, I hope you enjoy.
I'm Nancy Andrews. We've got about 1.5 acres sitting on the Rockwell-Hunt county line, Texas. I'm running dairy sheep. We have 2 breeds. We're running high percentage East Fresians and we have pure Finns. This is our 3rd year. So we had our first girls January of 2021.
Did you have any experience in farming before you started?
0. Well, I guess before sheep, I had chickens, the gateway animal. I like drinking raw milk, and I was getting tired of driving a long ways to get raw milk from a dairy I really liked. And then I had this weird notion that somehow you could do this stuff. One day we were on a car drive and just chit-chatting away, my husband and I, and he knew I had this notion that I wanted to get baby doll sheep. And he goes, well, could you milk, the baby doll sheep? And I'm like, I started laughing. I said, no. I go, their teeth would be so microscopic. I go, and they'll only be in lactation for like 90 days. And he goes, well, are there dairy sheep? And that's when I paused. I said, well, I don't know. And so I started checking into it. And so that kind of evolved into learning all about dairy sheep and finding somebody who'd give me, we started out with 2 bred ewes. So our first 2 were high percentage East Fresian, and I always say high percentage because you can't get purebred East Fresian in the US, I don't know why. East Fresians are the big producers. They far outproduce. They're more milk generally. I mean, there's always outliers, so on average, you're gonna get more per day and you're gonna get it for a longer period. First year was easy because they came bred, and then the next year you gotta breed them, right? So we brought in a ram and I grew them up really big. It's like 250 pounds.
If you are interested in launching your own rotational grazing system on a small scale, check out my book, The Basics of Raising Sheep on Pasture. Chapter 5 covers how to install a simple rotational grazing system, available exclusively at shepherdess.com. What's your grazing program like?
It changes throughout the year. I don't know how much yours does, but in the spring we're moving every 2 or 3 days, especially the ladies, especially after they have the lambs. And then this time of year we actually slow down, which you'd almost think would be the opposite, but they're kind of eating a little less. And now we've moved our lambs off, so we just have the 4 ewes back there. So once a week typically. And then we have on the back 11 different rotations. So, and then I don't even know, you can hodgepodge around here. Bob's actually the master planner on how we move things around. I don't vaccinate. I don't give antibiotics. I don't use chemical dewormers. I might give a vitamin, not injectable though, yeah. Only oral. But I would say far and away, outside of pasture management, the big thing we do is copper. We feed copper. Then we've never lost an animal. So we're using copper sulfate, which is a greenish powder. We'll put it out for a couple days at a time. So I'll go in with the girls or I go in with the boys and I will replenish it until they stop eating it. And then I take it away, and it's probably gonna be away from them for at least 2 weeks. Always feed copper by itself so they know what they're doing when they're eating it. It's a 3% copper sulfate.
So why do you focus on dairy as a top priority over food, forest, and your gardening endeavors?
I think in a lot of cases dairy is overlooked. You have chickens and they lay eggs, and you can pretty much get that all year round. I mean, sometimes you're flush with eggs, sometimes you have hardly any, but it's this permanence of food, right? Where you can kind of count on it, just knowing your seasons and your chickens. And I feel dairy is much the same way. And it's a lot, especially sheep milk, is a lot of caloric value. So 1 cup of sheep milk is 265 calories compared to like 100, 155 for cow's milk. It also has 15 grams of protein in it. I like the milk. The milk is amazing, which is hard to describe until you've tasted it. So it's a lot like a Jersey cow milk, but sweeter, thicker.
Some of your challenges as somebody going into this without any previous experiences?
Figuring out how to milk. I had never milked anything in my life, It was hard. I did not know how to milk. People getting into sheep, the teats are a little smaller than the goats. They have to learn how to milk. It's easy enough to get into sheep. Spend at the top end of your budget to get good quality sheep. Make sure you get good quality sheep. You know, do not ever step foot in a barn sale, an auction. You're not going to get good sheep that way. Find somebody, join a group, find somebody who's talking about sheep that seems to know what they're talking about, right? It's always smarter to start out here versus here and having to breed up, because guess what? Every step is a year. Why spend all those years breeding up when you could start here in the first place?